Story of the next 24 hours on the pitch is very much going to be about what happens at the Camp Nou this evening. Manchester United travelling to take on Barcelona. They are 1-0 down from the first leg, but can they invoke the spirit of 99? How many times has Ole Gunnar Solskjaer spoken about the spirit of 99?
Yeah. I hope.
Do you think he needs to move on with his life?
I imagine he's not repeating that.
The line that I saw yesterday about how he refused to park in the manager's car parking space because he thinks that's reserved for Alex Ferguson.
Yeah.
Is that true? I presumed it was someone taking the piss.
Yeah,
it's a little bit embarrassing, isn't it?
Yeah, look, he's got the contract now, so yeah, I wouldn't mind him saying. I can understand though to a certain extent you have to pay a little bit of homage, but not too much. He's his own man now. He needs to just get on and look forward rather than too much behind him, particularly the shadow of Alex Ferguson.
Is there anything in it that footballers these days are so technically skillful? They're all at, when you get to a Champions League quarter-final, everybody's at such a high level and they're so tactically aware that actually tapping into the emotional side of it can actually make a difference.
I think it can, and yeah, it's not an easy thing. It's a case of like providing a bit of inspiration to your players. I think particularly maybe in the moments before they go onto the pitch, you could even argue maybe team meeting the night before the game might be a better thing rather than maybe charging up the players too close to kick off. Yeah, maybe that type of team talk is best presented to the players maybe the night before or even the morning of the game. Particularly at a club like Manchester United, you hear about the kind of traditions in a football club. To a certain extent, I don't like to hear it too much. A group of players, for me, it should be all about yourselves and what you can achieve as a group, not particularly looking behind you all the time at previous players and previous generations of players. But I think Manchester United is probably a little bit different in terms. I think present players can draw a little bit of inspiration from the kind of the deeds, the achievements of players of Manchester United teams of the past. You've obviously mentioned, you've laughing a little bit, the spirit of 99, but that type of thing, I think that's clearly what Solskjaer is trying to do, but not too much of it, because at the end of the day, it's all about these players, the tactical setup of the team on the night and the individual qualities of whatever team that Solskjaer puts on the pitch tonight. That's going to be the most important.
So let's talk about that and how they'll set up tactically. The team news for Manchester United is that Luke Shaw is suspended and Ander Herrera and Eric Bailly are both missing from the squad through injury. So Manchester United are in blue here. How do you expect them to set up?
Not in blue. not in a blue card. I don't expect Barcelona to be in white. I don't expect the ball to be red. That's the first thing I'm going to say. I'm not going to name names, but I'm blaming Joe. I'm blaming Joe on that.
Manchester United, for the benefit of this tactics board, they are in white.
No, blue. Manchester, you're even getting confused.
I'm getting confused. Manchester United are in blue, Barcelona in white. The ball is this red thing.
I do remember Manchester United blue away kit over the years.
Is there away kit at the moment, not blue?
Is there one of them blue at the moment? I haven't seen it. Some years ago.
Third kit was blue.
Third kit, was it? Exactly, yeah. I think it's interesting tactically how Solskjaer goes about it. No surprises, Barcelona, that kind of back four, PK, Longley, two full-backs, probably Semedo, Alba, that narrow midfield three, Busquets at the base, we're presuming Rakitic and maybe Coutinho, Dembele, Messi, Suarez, they could flip, basic kind of 4-3-3. I could match this very easily, a 4-3-3, a 4-5-1, potentially throw Rashford off the line, Martial, maybe Lukaku up top. So you got a back four, blanket five, and one striker up the pitch. That'd be an obvious thing to do in terms of not giving Barcelona any obvious channels to go forward. But what I like about Solskjaer and what he's had some success with, going with a kind of a 4-4-2, a back four, take your pick, Lindelof, Smalling, your two full-backs. A diamond shaped in midfield and a front two, but split strikers, not a normal kind of front two, but split strikers operating really off the shoulders at the two centre halves. What that does for you and what they've had some success with, I'm thinking about Arsenal in the FA Cup at the Emirates.
This is the setup they went with against Tottenham at Wembley.
Absolutely. Lingard in particular is key. Playing at the top of this diamond. You could argue Matic, Pogba certainly off the left, and maybe McTominay or Fred off the right hand side. What that does, Nate, makes you very strong down the middle of the pitch. We know Barcelona, Messi dropping in, Suarez coming in off the line, finding those little pockets of space, when it makes you very strong. Look, those four midfield players within the confines of the 18-yard box. Back four narrowed up, not easy to play in those central areas, which Barcelona like to do. What that does, of course, is that forces the opposition team down the sides. You open yourself up down the sides, so easy for Barcelona to get the ball to their full backs in these positions. But I think if you're an opposition team, you wanted Barcelona to have the ball. You'd rather their fullbacks have the ball in these areas rather than Messi, Suarez, Coutinho getting the ball in central areas of the pitch.
So you're being a realist if you're Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and realising that you can't stop every facet of Barcelona's play, every attacking option. What you're trying to do is obviously limit Lionel Messi, and if that means letting Alaba and Semedo roam forward
in wide areas, exactly.
Fine. And I guess does that then open?
So this is the thing, this is the interesting thing about the actual split striker scenario. So generally, if you played with two orthodox wide men, you expect your wide men to get back with the full backs. You'd leave a lone striker maybe high up the pitch. Not a huge amount of counter-attacking opportunities there when you're playing with 2v1. But by keeping your split strikers here and not asking them to go back with the opposition full backs, allowing the full backs to travel here, asking your wide men, Pogba, to come across and double up with your full back on this side of the pitch. Everybody shuffles across. Basically, you're potentially giving yourself 2v2 situations here on the counter-attack, because if Barcelona try and play clever balls on the inside here and you're nice and compact and you win that ball back, maybe Matic slides across, wins back a ball that's meant to go into Suarez's feet, and he looks up immediately. He's got the likes of Rashford, Lukaku, you could argue maybe Martial, but those two players immediately receiving the ball and get themselves the potentially 2v2 situations. If you remember the game against Spurs, United winning the ball back in this area of the pitch, Pogba I think it was, Rashford immediately getting himself onto the shoulder of Vertonghen, one ball over the top, 1v1, the pace that he has, he was in goal. So it's a slightly braver, bolder formation in terms of the 4-4-2 for Manchester United. But I think it's worth a gamble tonight. They're 1-0 down. They could go 4-3-3. I could understand it. But for me, they've already shown that this kind of system quite suits them, and it really offers you a threat on the counter attack. It really does. And with someone from like Jesse Lingard operating this position, you could argue, well, what about Juan Mata maybe in this area of the pitch? Yeah, absolutely. But when the ball goes over the head of Lingard in this area of the pitch, he gets from there to the edge of the box as quick as anybody. Mata can't do that. So very quickly, if these two break 2v2, you're going to find Lingard getting himself running off the shoulder of Busquets, who won't be able to keep up with him. And if I think back to Manchester City and Barcelona some years ago now, I can't remember, you probably know better than me, Manchester City beat them over two legs. In the second leg at the Etihad, they ran all over Barcelona. That Manchester City team had too much legs, and there is a small weakness in this Barcelona team. I look at Busquets, I look at PK at centre half. If you can get the ball and even run off them, you'll run away from them. So this shape for me, this kind of diamond shape in midfield, Matic at the base, take your pick, Pogba, McTominay and possibly Lingard. I'd love to see how maybe they could hurt Barcelona in this particular shape.
And Jesse Lingard's positioning then, because I remember after the game against Spurs there was a lot of debate about where he actually played. Was he a false nine almost, playing in as a front three, or was he playing that little bit deeper? Do you expect him then to almost just sit on Busquets? And I'm thinking even of the game between Liverpool and Chelsea 5 years ago when Mourinho made sure he almost man-mark the creator and the deep-lying midfielder.
That's what happened.
Lingard's role, that he just tries to stop
at times,
Busquets orchestrating the game?
Yeah, at times, absolutely, because when they get the ball a little bit deeper, keeper get the ball, the two centre-halves are split in these areas. You can send your two centre-forwards high up the pitch, and invariably when you see Busquets drop in between the two centre-halves, immediately have somebody who can go and get onto him, immediately attach himself to him. So that's not an easy ball out now for Barcelona, even to play out from the back. The one problem that potentially might have, because they're 1-0 down in this game, Barcelona don't have to push. So when Barcelona get the ball into these areas of the pitch, 1-0 up, they may think we don't have to force it, and they might get a time in the game. Manchester United might have to put some pressure onto this full back here. They might have to go chasing the game. It's going to be very hard for Paul Pogba to do that. Sometimes the distance is too big for him to get across. So the only way Manchester United can come out of this shape, if they do have to force it and keep the two centre forwards high up the pitch, that's what you want to do. You don't want to be dragging Lukaku back onto the full back. What you do then is you commit one of your full backs. You send your full back, as that ball's been played from PK to Semedo, who's going to be receiving the ball in space generally. You send your full back high and wide early to engage that player high up the pitch. Centre halves come around, opposition full back comes across the pitch. So now you've got your full back operating 15-20 yards in front of your left-sided centre half high up the pitch. And you look at the ball Semedo has, and where's the obvious ball Semedo has now on the inside or backwards? He hasn't. Pogba measly attaches himself here to Rakitic. Matic is square. There's not an easy ball back to PK because Rashford is keeping himself high up the pitch. Yes, you're opening yourself up a little bit behind the fullback, but as long as everybody's sliding across, two centre halves and fullback, you should have a nice compact shape here on the inside of the pitch. So if you're going to come out of that orthodox shape, the back four that I'm talking about, this is how you do it. You send one of your fullbacks high up the pitch. This probably won't see this early in the game, but certainly as the game goes on, still 1-0 down. They have to force it. For me, keep them two high up the pitch. You send one of your fullbacks higher up the pitch, and this is how you open yourself up. You take more of a calculated risk in terms of going after Barcelona. But those two players are key for me. Get enough possession of the ball to them in these central areas with Barcelona fullbacks high and wide as they usually are. They can really hurt this Barcelona team with Lingard joining in with his pace and dynamism from that kind of position a little bit deeper.
And would you have Lukaku ahead of Martial?
I would in a two split strikers. He really impressed me this summer actually for Belgium. Martinez played him there. I think it was a game against Brazil. Played those split strikers. Actually, Martinez done it a couple of times with Lukaku at Everton in high profile games. Yeah, I think he's capable of doing it, Lukaku, because you're not really asking him to drop into too many defensive positions. It's that little, people call it a cheating position. That's probably not the right word, but I think everybody understands what they're saying in terms of they're not coming back, get back into that orthodox four.
So it looks as though they're being lazy and they're not tracking.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want them to.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. You want them, but you don't want them to stay up in the centre half either, where you can actually hold them and get a hold. And you want them dropping off into that half and half position between full back and centre half. As he generally maybe doesn't want to come touch tie, he'll drop off. So if the ball is won back, a sloppy little ball onto the inside here, immediately can find these players into their feet. And if not, if one or two pass out very quickly, they can get themselves onto the shoulders of those two centre halves and look to work the space in behind. So they have had success with this. Isn't a case of we haven't seen this far as a massive gamble. It has proved successful against good opposition in England, Arsenal, Tottenham that we've referenced. I know these are a calibre above Barcelona, but I think the same principles apply. And I think if United's way in tonight is that pace, the pace, dynamism, energy, athleticism of those forward players against the likes of PK and Busquets. That's where they can hurt Barcelona.
It's all good stuff, Kenny.
Yeah.
But I can't help but notice we've spoken for 10 minutes and you haven't mentioned Lionel Messi.
Yeah, well, you can't. People talk about man mark, how you can't really. All you can do is suffocate him and limit his influence on the game. Where do you presume Messi's going to play in this Barcelona? There's the front three. Where do you think he's going to play, Messi?
I think Messi will sort of roam wherever he wants around here, which then the concern, I guess, for Manchester United is that Luke Shaw's out suspended. Diogo Dalot might play left back. Matteo Darmian might play left back. But this guy, Paul Pogba, is he going to, if Messi drops in here, does Pogba have the awareness that when he drops deep to go and get close to him? Yeah,
well, the advantage of this system, you're basically going to have Matic playing spare in that holding midfield position. You'll have Messi, you're talking about Messi dropping into these areas here. When he drops into these areas here, Matic has got to get across and attach himself. Not Paul Pogba's job necessarily to get himself into those areas. They have the spare man there in Matic. Messi comes into these little pockets of space. Immediately, Matic has got to get himself attached to him in that area of the pitch. That frees up the left-sided centre half. You got your full back here, Pogba over here. So Matic is key. Those areas which Messi is floating into these areas of the pitch, his responsibility to get across. If he comes into a wide area, Nathan makes doubles up potentially in this area of the pitch, Pogba will have to get across to a certain point and double up with his fullback. Left sided centre half, Matic will be over there. So it's always, for me, with Messi, it's all about the group. If you're going to negate his influence on the game, it's not an easy thing. You've got to do it collectively, not one person's responsibility. It's almost an impossible job. It's about collectively as a group, how you kind of suffocate him and kind of deny him the space to turn and run into open space towards you. So not easy, but this shape for me, with Matic kind of sitting a little bit deeper at the base of that diamond, again, gives you a little bit of an advantage. It gives you enough players in this area of the pitch to try and condense that space where invariably Messi wants to operate.
And I guess if Lionel Messi turns up in the night and does what he can do, all the tactics in the world ain't going to save you.
No, I understand it, but the best tactics implemented correctly by the players will certainly help you on a lot of occasions. Messi turns up and has one of those nights, you're absolutely right. You can take the game away from any team. But Manchester United have to think positively, have to think about how can they take advantage of any potential frailties in this Barcelona team, and certainly on counter-attack with the speed that they have, the athleticism, the ability to go from back to front quickly. I think there's an obvious route into the Barcelona goal this evening, which will give them some hope and some optimism certainly in the day, the hours leading up to the game.
All right, Kenny, fascinating stuff.